what's up? I'm Amin Dhillon, and welcome to my podcast. I'm sitting down with the movers and shakers and the stars to chat about life, love, business, and being a total boss. It's raw, it's candid, it's the stories behind the headlines. This is In Conversation.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Rup Magon?
Yeah, I mean,
every time we have this
Magon,
discussion.
and then it's Magon, and it was Magon, and then I think when somebody started spelling it, they put the N there, so it became Magon. There are none in the world.
Because you're also from Montreal, I do want to say Magon.
Yeah, you could say it.
Okay.
Yeah, Rupinder, Magon. Pourquoi non?
All right, everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Amin Dhillon, and today I'm sitting down with Canadian singer, songwriter, producer, and actor Rup Magon. Hi.
Hi, you forgot chef. Come on.
Chef,
If you're gonna give an intro like that, let's get it all right.
You do everything, and I can say husband, father, son.
Yes, brother.
Brother as
Let's
well.
get it all
so
out there.
friend. Yes.
Best friend.
Not mine, but friend.
Come
Well,
on, we can
maybe-
be besties. Why not, man?
Well, if you teach me some French, we can become best friends.
We can try. We can
Yes,
definitely try.
because I can say right now, je m'appelle Amin Dhillon, comment ça va?
Wow. You don't need to learn French. You do it perfect.
Well, I don't have the accent though.
It's
so.
comment ça va. Like, je
Comment ça
m'appelle
va?
Amin Dhillon. Or you can say Dhillon. Or not.
Always adding the Indian in there.
En français, it's like that. But, you know, it's always cool. The whole French angle is always amazing because being from Montreal,
Yeah.
it's always somebody's like, what? You speak French? You got a pug on?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
So I think already people are like, hey, so he's Canadian, he's from Montreal,
Yes.
he speaks fluent French, he is a singer, he's an actor, he does everything.
Yeah, I've always had big dreams, and I try to follow them. I try to work hard at them, and try to make them happen. I get bored very fast.
Oh, do you?
And I like to keep moving. I like to do things. I like to try new things. And so when I did transition from singing to acting, it's not like I stopped singing. I took it very seriously. You know, took classes, did improv, learned how to write scripts, wrote a script. It was terrible, but I did write a script.
Oh, your script writing is terrible.
It was horrible actually.
But it should be like lyrics, right?
No.
No? Okay.
No, script writing is so different. You know, telling a story and trying to keep an audience captivated is a serious art.
So let's actually start from the beginning. So
Yeah.
what's really great is I first learned about you when you were in Josh. And just to make it clear, Josh is still very much active.
Yes.
Right? So before people think like, you know, it's retired, we're over, we're never going to see new material. No.
Right.
We're never letting that go, right? Josh is going to last till you die.
Yeah, it is bread and butter for me forever.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just a passion.
Yeah.
And I honestly, there's nothing better than going on stage and singing to people that know your songs. And, it's a privilege, it's an honor, and I don't see us stopping that.
Yeah. So you started Josh when I was actually looking to see when you started in 96.
We didn't have
Such
to
a
make
long
that
time
public,
ago.
but
I mean,
this is dyed.
Is it?
It's actually all white and gray. My daughter says, "Papa, it's too white now. Just go and dye it."
she's coloring it in with a
Yeah,
Crayola.
exactly. So it did start a very long time ago. We didn't really have anything released until 2001. But yes, we started doing shows, and you know, we used to do a lot of Bollywood and Pakistani covers.
And the first ones really in Canada to do it. 96, there was nobody really around. So you
nobody.
had no role models to be like, hey, these guys are doing it. We could do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. It's a very good observation. And that too in Montreal. You know, it's one thing if you're in Toronto or Vancouver, you might have gotten a lot of support, but in Montreal, you know, it was unheard of. And, you know, especially when we decided, I think we should maybe go to India and try to get a record deal. So, you know, when our friends were literally like buying condos and getting jobs and, you know, investing money in places, we were buying flights to India.
Yeah.
And keyboards and sound equipment, and it was very expensive, but we finally did it. And Q and I, who's my bandmate, and Josh, we decided that I think, you know, we decided to release our music in India because nobody was going to listen to it in Montreal. We decided, why not go to the top of the mountain and then, you know, drop it there, and wherever it goes into there,
And India has like 1 billion people. So if you're going to try to make it any market, why
Right.
not where there's a
Why
billion
not?
people?
Except that when we went there, they said to us, "Na akal na shakal singer banne niklo yahan se," and it was devastating to us because we got kicked out of every record company for
Wow.
year after year after year. But we were very persistent, and we weren't nagging, but we were persistent. And eventually we realized we started to ask why. You know, why are you kicking us out? What didn't you like? And so we would change and we would work on their comments. And this time we'd go back and we'd know the name of the person that
What
kicked
were the
us out.
comments though?
Believe it or not, they said that our music was ahead of its time. So which is a great comment. And so they said you'll have to like sort of push back a little because India is not ready for this Canadian
India's not
vibe.
ready for Josh.
Well, not for this Canadian vibe. Like
Yeah.
it won't work here. And maybe not ready. I think that might not be the right word to say, but they would just say, not now, not here. So we finally ended up getting a sound that worked for everybody, and we released our first album. And you know, it was crazy because it was a major flop. Except that we were in every record shop around the planet.
Really?
Yeah, so we did a deal with Tips Music.
Yeah, big company.
Yeah, and
huge.
they put our album everywhere. I remember my aunt in like 2001 saying, "I saw your album in Bangkok, in Thailand," and that's a big deal for two guys out of Montreal, right? Although nobody really heard the music, and it just came and went. There were many different reasons for that we don't have to get into. But after that, we tried another album, and that album, you know, went to the top of the charts.
What was different, do you think?
I think we were a little bit more mature. Our sound was different. We had a different producer that co-produced it. Funny enough, the co-producer of that album was Carl Wolf.
No way.
So Carl, who we
Wow.
like to call Carlito, Carl was the co-producer of our album Kabhi, which then went on to win the MTV India Artist of the Year and MTV Pakistan Artist of the Year, and sold a couple of million copies of that album, and then we never looked back. Then we quit our jobs and did this full time.
Wait. So up until that point, you were doing this on the side?
Yeah, we were still working. We were working, funny enough, Q and I were working in the same company, in the same software company.
So you were in software sales,
Yeah,
I think. I heard,
sales, software sales.
Which sounds fun.
It was fun. He was the engineer, and I was a sales guy.
Sounds like it's hard. Or were you just like really awesome at convincing people?
I loved it.
Yeah? Okay.
I still do.
I think some people either have the knack for it or don't,
Yeah,
right? So that's why I'm
yeah.
always nervous when someone says I was in sales. I'm like, were you cold calling? And everyone was like hanging up on you and being like, not interested. And you're like, there goes my commissions.
Yeah, that was the deal. But you know, I actually always got a high from sales. I like it, and you know, when we're in record companies, you know, you're selling yourself, right? When you're at a show, when you're like, and it's never ending. It's actually never ending. So I'm okay with it. I had a lot of fun. I still do, and so. Then we never really looked back from that time, you know. And we also did a couple of collaborations that same year with Nelly Furtado,
Yeah.
with Sukhbir, with Apache Indian, and then it, you know, just took off from there.
I was just listening to the Nelly Furtado mix. I think you just posted like a flashback.
Yeah,
Really
and it was
cool.
our mix, our song with her that
Yeah.
was, you know, getting the radio play, and when we got to India, we didn't know that it, you know, was top 10 for like I think maybe 30 weeks, and yeah, we actually eventually performed with her in Bombay. To a stadium with about, I don't know, 75,000 people. It was insane,
Yeah.
you know? And so it's been quite the journey so
For
far.
sure.
Yeah.
Let's actually take it back to when you were saying that you were doing it on the side, because I think your story is what many people even today are still doing, where they have a dream, they know they want to go into, and it's usually entertainment or some field that isn't stable. Then you clearly were doing that side hustle for so long and you did it well. So what really helped you kind of keep that going? Because it wasn't like 6 months and you were like, oh, now I can quit my job, we made it. You had to really have that long-term vision.
Well, you know, I think it begins from the passion.
Yeah.
It, you know, we hear this so much these days, and I hear it a lot, you know, I'm passionate about this, passionate about that. But when it's the only thing in the world that you want and you will do anything and everything to get it, I think that that's where you should start, you know, and then from there, you make a plan. You actually make a plan that you follow. A lot of people think that it's just going to sort of happen, but it's not. It's actually a business.
Yes.
You know, it's a business, and it's very expensive. Your hobbies that you love to do are not cheap. And so it requires the investment, financial investment, but then the time. And I used to always say that I had a 9 to 5, but it was actually my 5 to 9 later on that I would do so much with so much passion, and nobody could move me away from it. Nobody. Let's just call it what it is. My parents weren't crazy about the fact that I said I want to be a singer. It took a lot of convincing.
Yeah.
And it also just took a lot of hard work. And I think when they saw that I was doing it as a business and I was making it work, that it was okay. But that passion, to answer your question, is what's most required. And then of course you have to have that plan. People don't realize that a lot of artists out there that are trying to make it work don't put together a business plan. It's a business, and if you eventually want to do it full time, you'll have to pay bills doing that. So structure it as a business. And so that's what I did.
Absolutely. And I liked that you mentioned it's an investment in yourself, which really, I think, it summarizes it, that if you have a passion for something that you think either, this is something that just makes your soul happy, or you eventually do see yourself doing that full time, you gotta invest in yourself because no one else is.
That investment in yourself is actually, and the thing is, when you do go your own way, there's a price to pay to go your own way. But then it never shuts off. At 5 o'clock, you don't turn it off. You're doing this forever.
Yeah.
But when you love what you do, you don't really work.
Exactly.
And so that's why it's a pretty good trade-off.
Then you decided, okay, I'm going to now shift over to acting. So was that always in the back of your mind, or did that just kind of come about being in the industry?
We've done about 30 music videos with acting. We're in front of the camera a lot, whether it's on stage or a music video. But we're there, and so we kind of, we're not scared of it anymore, and we're very natural because of how many times it's happened. And of course, sitting with directors of music videos, I've learned about the angles and, the close-up, the two-shot, and all that sort of stuff. So when an opportunity did come, and that was the film Breakaway. So it was the Romani family that gave me that chance. And I sent in a self-tape.
Wait. So how did you first hear about this opportunity? Did they approach you, or you heard it through the grapevine and you were like, I got to audition?
It was my friend Ali Hassan, who's a very big comic, that called me up and said, listen, I'm going for this audition. Can you tie a pug on me? And I said, yeah. I mean, I don't know if it was a pug or he needed me to self-tape with him. And I said, yo, would it be cool if I just sort of, poked in and tried? He said, yeah, go ahead. Which was very, very sweet of him. And then eventually, my manager contacted the production team, who were the Vermanis, and they said, okay, send us self-tape. And so I did, and I think I ad-libbed a little, and I think, they liked it, so they offered me a role as one of the Speedy Singhs.
Yeah.
And then I had to learn how to skate, and I did, and it was amazing. But being on set, for me, was so fresh. It was something so new. We'd been doing Josh for so long. And, I was like the 15th billing in that film. It was like Vinay Vermani, Anupam Kher, Rob Lowe, Akshay Kumar, Russell Peters, like such a long, and then my little cabin was all the way in the back, you know, which was humbling, and it was something where I learned about a new art.
But what a platform to make your debut on a set with all these amazing names and with all different backgrounds. It must have been amazing.
It was, and they're such giving actors, And I remember Anupam ji said to me, I don't know if he's going to remember this, but we were on set on the side. We had just done a scene, and he said, beta, I have an acting school in Bombay. And I thought, oh my God, he's going to tell me to take classes.
No.
I was devastated. And he said, well, you should maybe come and do some coaching. And I said, what? And I said, this is my first film. And he said, there's no way. He said, you're a natural. Try it, get into it. So I did. I took his advice, and I'll never forget him for that. But then I started to take some classes and lessons in writing. And then I did a little thing in Biba Boys with Deepa Mehta.
Every film you've done has had big, well-respected, people well-established attached to it. You've got like now Deepa Mehta, who is honestly like, she means cinema in such a new way, especially featuring South Asian faces.
Right.
So is that something that you just lucked out on, or have you been looking for projects where you're like, okay, I might not have like the top billing, but these names are attached, and I need to be attached to them.
Absolutely. I think that's exactly what I did. And, being a typecast, I wear a pug, and you're not going to, you don't get every role handed to you. You get asked to play a terrorist or a cab driver or a convenience store owner. And, I didn't grow up as any of those.
Yes.
Although, we had a convenience store in my family, but I didn't, so I'm that kid whose best friend was Jean-Sébastien in Brassard, Montreal. And so to find roles is not easy. But when you get an opportunity like the Vermanis did, and then Deepa also, said, listen, there's a small role, I want you to play it. You don't say no to that. You say yes, right? And you learn and you keep learning. And I remember it was just a one-day shoot with her, but I learned a lot, and then moving from there, I got the role in The Black Prince. And I played the second lead next to Satinder Sartaaj. And I had to work really hard to get that role. I auditioned in Los Angeles, and then I went and auditioned in England.
You actually approached the director.
The director.
This is what I love, because I remember I interviewed on the red carpet,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, they probably saw you, and they approached you, and you're like, no, I heard about it. I think you contacted the director on Facebook.
Yeah, I reached out to Kavi Raz. Kavi was a fantastic guy and directed The Black Prince. My dad had sent me an email saying, it was a Hollywood Reporter article that said that Satinder Sartaaj, Shabana Azmi, and Jason Fleming, Amanda Root are doing a picture about Maharaja Dalip Singh. And, then I thought, okay, well, here's another opportunity where, a pug might not be a problem. And so I reached out to Kaviji and I said, listen, this is who I am, this is what I do, and here's what I think I could do for you. And I didn't really hear back from him for a little while, but then he finally did reach out and said, look, there is a second lead role. The Maharaja had a right-hand man, how's your British accent? And I said, I could do it. And so I eventually ended up meeting him at his house in LA. It wasn't an official audition, but it was in sorts, He was.
Did he tell you to come, or did you show up?
I happened to be in Los Angeles.
Okay, happened to be.
I happened to be in Los Angeles, with a sports car and top down, wearing a three-piece suit. Yeah, I happened to be there. So met him. We had a great vibe. It was really cool. And again, I didn't hear back from him. So I was like, yo, Paji, what's going on? And he said, we're still looking. And
ouch.
Yeah, we're still looking. Because I had never really sent him a self-tape of the lines from a scene.
Yeah.
But eventually he did ask me to do that, which I did. Recorded it on my phone and sent it over some terrible Wi-Fi in upstate New York. But that being said and done, still nothing. And I called him and I said, what's up? His phone was ringing with the UK ring. And I said, oh my God, they're already there. They're already there. Now what? So he answered. He said, Rup, I'm in London and we're auditioning. And I said, look, Kavi, I'm flying to Lahore for a show. It's a Toronto, Dubai, Lahore flight. I can change it and come through London if you think I should. He said, I think you should. So I literally went from the airport to the shoot, to the audition. And I never forget walking in and seeing all these tall, handsome Sardars with perfect British accents. And I was like, beta, ja wapas.
Man.
Turn around and go back because, this is not going to happen. Eventually, Nikki Topping, the casting director, said, come on in. And they kept me there for a while. They auditioned me, and then they said, hey, stick around, meet the producers. And eventually, they offered me the role.
The same day? Did you find out?
No. I had gone to Lahore for the show, came back to Toronto, and it's funny, I actually remember getting the email. When you get a notification on your phone, and it said, we're sorry. And that was the email. And I woke up in the morning to this email, and I said, oh. So I put the phone down, and I thought, it's cool, because I felt like I lived again. I felt like, I was going for something, and it was kind of like when we were looking for an album, getting that record deal. And it's a high for me. I loved it. Going to LA, going to London, meeting people, being vulnerable.
And taking risks.
And
the fact that you were following up with him.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would have been like, oh, I didn't hear from him. But you were like, I'm just going to keep poking at him, even if it's annoying.
Relentless. Yeah, I was. I like to call it charming persistence.
I like that better. Yeah.
Right? Because there's a fine line between persistence and nagging. And as soon as you cross that, nobody wants to hear from you. And, you just get the block and delete. And so I was like, okay, just be cool about it and do it. Anyway, so I get the email, and I said it was okay because, I was a finalist from a lot of people, and this was something that I wanted. Then I opened the email and said, "We're sorry it took so long,
But you
we're
got the
we're
part.
offering you the role." And
I love that you had to find out in an email too. They didn't only call you. Just
they had to make it official first.
yes.
And then, within a month, I got my UK working visa, and I was sharing an apartment with Satinder Sartaaj for 4 weeks, who's a god, a vocalist that I've looked up to forever. And,
Oh, so you were a fan.
oh, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because it's cool if you know someone in the industry, you're like, I like your music, but you're not like, a
No,
huge,
I'm
I'm going to like start freaking out and secretly videotaping like you. But you were an actual fan.
Yeah, I was a fan. I still am.
I wonder if he knew, and he's like,
I told him the second I met him. I was like, "Dude, big fan. Let's just get it out of the way.
Yeah.
Big fan. I know your songs."
yeah, we were talking about that because I told you I just interviewed him, and he's the nicest guy.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, so you probably interviewed him a day or before or after the show.
Yeah, right after the show.
In the middle of his show, middle of his performance, he asked me to stand up,
Yeah.
and I literally got a lot of praise from the people that were there for the Black Prince. So it was, the guy's awesome. I love him.
I know, but like the Black Prince, I saw it, and that's where I also told you afterwards. I was like, I loved you in this role. I really appreciated your performance in there. The only thing is, I wish there was a happy ending at the end.
Well, first of all, thank you. And secondly, the story of Maharaja Dalip Singh is a tragic story.
It is.
It's a story that had to be told.
Yeah.
Because we've only heard this story from the British angle. We never heard it from our angle. We never knew what about his struggle, and that he actually gave up being a prince and all the good stuff that comes with it. And he gave it all up to try to help his people. Unfortunately, the British were. That's actually my line in the movie, is the British were far too clever. And it didn't work, but he did try. And a lot of the Sikhs in the world that knew about Maharaja Dalip Singh didn't know that side of it. As they say, history is written by the victors, and so we only knew that side.
His whole life, he just wanted to go back. Like that's, I think, the devastating part is he never got to go home.
Yeah. He tried so hard.
So hard.
Yeah. And it's producers like Jasjeet Singh who not only financed the film, but took such a major effort to read the letters that he would write to his mom and to figure out what actually happened. And so, he made that happen. A phenomenal producer, first-time producer. And here we have this epic film with, unfortunately, a sad ending, but at least something that we can, it's there now forever.
And really, the producers didn't hold back on the production because, again, it's a period piece. So you have to make sure, because if you look at Satinder in the movie, he's almost unrecognizable, the way they've transformed him, right? And also, we're following his journey. So it's not just one age. You're following him as he goes through different periods in his life. And then you've got the palaces and just the mannerism, the dance sequences. So there was a lot of effort and planning to make sure that you really did take us back to that time. That must have been really fun on set.
We were in castles, we were in castles for 4 weeks.
Were they the actual castles that
no, not the same castles as they were
or
in,
homes that he had?
But we were at like Lady Diana's family's house, we were there, and another castle. And I remember taking my girls, I brought them over from Toronto, and they stayed with me for a little while. And my daughter comes and says, Papa, it's a really nice castle, but I think Elsa and Anna's is bigger.
Oh, yes.
I was like, I've never been in a castle.
There was no availability at their castle, unfortunately.
I was like, I've never been in a castle, just chup karke, be happy that you're here. But it was probably one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah. What was that actually like then getting into the role?
So every day is different. Every day is different. I was not a method actor. I can't do that just yet. But you sit with the director and you say, okay, where is the scene coming from? What just happened in the movie? Because we don't do it in sequence, right? So he says, okay, well, we just got off. It's a sad scene. So you have to sort of program yourself and then also understand which angle is being shot, because if it's there's a scene where I had to cry at the end, and I didn't realize that I shouldn't be doing the crying scenes when it's a really long shot because they can't see my face. But I was like, and you learn.
So you're using up your real tears for
I was like, no,
a camera that can't even see it.
Yeah, and now it's close up, and I was like, there's not a tear left.
You're
in
like,
my
I need
body.
some liquids, guys.
There's no tears
Bonnie,
left.
please.
Yeah, so preparing was very important. Know your lines. I will share one quick thing with you. Is when I got to set, you always have your script with you, And when I met Shabana Azmi for the first time, who's wow, powerhouse. I remember meeting her at the breakfast at the hotel in the morning. I said Salaam alaikum, and she said Walaikum salam beta, and we were just talking, and I saw her script. Her script had post-it notes all over it. Her own post-it notes, color coded, written, and I thought, I don't have anything like that on my script. And here's a lady that doesn't need to really do that. You know, she makes it look so effortless, but she puts so much effort into it. I went back into my room and I wrote notes all over my script. I came back the next day like prepared.
You just like put it beside her script, be like, oh, you also use these. Oh, I thought I was the only one.
No, I didn't do it for that reason, but let me tell you, it helped me because you're flipping through and all of a sudden, you know, I now had written, this is a sad scene. This is where you have to get into this. And it helps you. And so I've been doing that ever since. But yeah, it's just another amazing person to work with.
So you get to work with all these amazing people. Did any of them actually give you like the best advice?
So Anupam Kher till today gave me, you know, face to face. I still think that seeing Shabana Azmi, that was advice in my own way, which I took. But you know, I think that when you're just watching them, watching like Jason Fleming, you know, the guy's done so many movies. He comes on set, he's just fire. You know, there's this thing that comes out of him when the director says action. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, and then and these actors, they say you're as good as your co-actor, no matter what happens, and you have to be a giving actor. So what that means is, when you're doing, if it's just a solo on the other actor, support. There's no camera on you, but support as much as you can because it helps that person.
So when you're saying your lines, don't be just standing there because you know you're off the shot. Like actually react. Do it all because it's going to help this solo, right? And that's what I learned all these things. And then the Black Prince obviously did so well. I know everybody, like the opening night I was with you, that whole theater afterwards was just like in awe because again, it's such an important story for Sikhs, and then for it to be finally told from our end, and then to have all of you, especially because I know like we take pride when it's somebody that we've grown up with, right? We're like, he's our Canadian boy, right? And he's doing this. So I know that was like such a big night.
It
so
really was.
What was that like actually watching the film? Did you get to see it before, or was that the premiere that you got to see it?
You know, there's so many emotions. And the one thing is that, you know, you remember the set and you remember the lighting and you remember who was standing there, right? But to watch it put together and that whole story being told, it's surreal. You actually forget that you were part of that.
You. Yeah, you're actually watching for the story.
Now you're just immersed in the story and you want to know what happens.
Yeah.
Like, I know what happens, but we now are seeing it, you know, from the director's cut and the edit, which is a whole new ballgame. Everything changes at the editing table. But to be there with the director and the producer, who've been nothing but amazing to me, and you know, we did a premiere in Lahore, we did a premiere in London, we did a premiere everywhere. And they were all really well received. And I think generally, you know, it's on digital platforms. You can watch it on Amazon and Google Play, and every day I'll get a message from somebody who says, "Yo, just watched it on here," and loving fans who will say, you know, you were really good in the film, and you'll also get people that say, "Dude, you sucked."
Oh, did you get that?
I mean, it happens, man.
Wow.
Haters gonna hate.
Yeah, but it's not bad because one, it keeps you humble, and also you're just like, well, you're still paying attention. You know who I am, so just give me the opportunity to win you over one day. But I'm on your radar. Yeah, that's how I see it, at least.
I think that's perfect. That's the way to see it, and you got to sort of just let it go. I used to take criticism really bad, and it was Nelly Furtado. One day we were sitting, and I was just down, and she said, "What's up?" And I told her, and she said, "Look, your job as an artist is not to make sure everybody likes you. Your job as an artist is to invoke emotion and some feeling. And whether it's good or bad, there has to be something. So the fact that this person took the time to listen and then has an opinion and then found you online and then messaged you, you win."
One of the best quotes I ever heard was, I forget who said it, but it stayed with me. It was, you should really dedicate your life to proving your supporters right as opposed to your haters wrong. Yeah. And to me, I was like, yeah, you focus so much on the people that don't like you or don't like your work, but then what about the entire group that is supporting you, that are your biggest fans, that go to your movies or go to your shows? And it's like, that should be the group you shows focus on.
You know, Osho has this, I really like some of Osho's teachings, and he talks about how love and hate are just two sides of the same coin. And he talks about how love is so unauthentic, but hate, when you hate with this authenticity. You know, he says love can be conditional. You know, if somebody does something bad to you, you might not love them like that.
Yeah.
But that hate is so strong. So I think that when you do get that criticism, there's this authenticity to it that you're attracted to automatically. But I think the trick is to not let it affect you. You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, you kind of did luck out that you got these great roles that enabled you to be on sets with amazing people that really got a lot of commercial success as a character that was a Sardar.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering, what is it actually like when because now you're going to continue acting. I'm sure you're out there looking for your next project. What is that like being a Sardar? Do you find that your faith, does that hinder? Does that enable? What role is it playing for you?
You know, I've always said, and it was actually Q, believe it or not, of all people, I used to be very insecure about my pug.
You've always had a pug, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, no, that's not true. I think I grew my hair at the age of 12 or 13 without my mom or dad knowing or asking. I just said, I'm going to try this.
Can you actually explain that decision? Because you're at a young age where most kids are peer pressure to look like everyone else. So you actually made the decision to say, I'm going to look different.
I did it the opposite. Yeah. However, it was very difficult because I think it was in grade 4 in French school, Montreal. Where there were none. But you know, kids are awesome. I think that kids can be bullies and stuff, but the majority are so nice and loving, and I had great friends that supported me. They're all French. And they were all like, oh, what's that? I remember coming to school in grade 4 or grade 5 saying, oh, cool. Want to play soccer? Yeah. And that's what it was.
Okay.
And I till today remember that. I was fortunate. There are people in the world that have the total opposite experience. That being said, I've always been insecure. I was insecure about it. And it was Q one day that said to me, he said, you're unique. Nobody else looks like you here. Why don't you just celebrate that? And I did. From that moment on, I did. And it's always now been my forte rather than a hindrance. And so even now moving forward in film, what I realized was I had to treat it like a business, just like I did in music. So what I've done over the last 2 years is I've invested in scripts that highlight the lead actor as a Sardar. I wrote one and I purchased 2 others. So
amazing.
Yeah. So I've got 3 films in the works. And over the next 3 years, they'll be being released. All amazing stories about a Sardar. One of them that I wrote is actually, it's a film that I wrote initially, and then it's been rewritten after the screenplay writer said to me, you shouldn't be writing. He said, but the fact that you wrote it, and it's done, it's here, and there's a story, he said, hats off to you for that. I said, okay, cool. And then he destroyed it and rewrote it. He rewrote it, which I gladly, was okay with.
You're like, I lit the match. I was like, here you go, buddy.
That's it. It's actually a story about a girl from Lahore who wants to be a chef. And she eventually comes to Toronto to learn, and I'm her teacher. And it's a phenomenal story. It's become an amazing story thanks to Sujit, who wrote the script. And it's we're gonna go to camera soon, and I'm very excited about it. I've been following the chef, Rene Chauvin at Centennial College, and you have to learn. You have to learn, and you have to learn from reality. I would never have played the role. Unless like I'm gonna play it now, unless I'd seen what he does and how he is. He's like a rock star chef, and that's how my role has been written in. And just to see his mannerisms, to see how it's done, how you chop. I mean, I love to cook anyways, but how he talks to his students and how he's like almost militant, yet he's got this charm and he's so nice to his students. and then you learn about, intention in cooking, and are you cooking to please someone else? Are you cooking just, there's so much that's involved. But it keeps me going.
That's really, really cool. So now with these films, are you going to be, you're obviously starring, but then are you just producing it also? Are you hoping to get into directing? How much are you hoping to get involved?
So I am doing the songs.
And you're also composing the songs.
Yes,
nice.
and I'm gonna be acting. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword for me. I guess I can do it, and co-producing, no directing, and nothing else like that. But I don't have the capacity or the know-how to do any of that. But apparently I can act a little, so I'm gonna stick to that for now.
You're like, I just started out. I think I got a lot more to do.
Yeah, I do. I have a lot more to do. I have modeled my career after a superstar named Justin Timberlake, who's way up there. But I saw how he even got into acting. He took small roles. He took side roles. In Social Network, he was, just he was maybe the fourth billing.
Yeah.
And he didn't have to. But
it's nice because it's not all on your shoulders, because when you're the leading face on the poster or the name, it's pretty much, if it doesn't do well, everyone kind of blames the main star.
It is
which
like
is
that.
so unfortunate, but
even Shah Rukh Khan has flops, so you have to sort of just
But he's big enough that he can deal with it. I know up-and-comers that if their first film flops, unless they have somebody in the family, it's like, you had your chance, sorry, so it can be a lot of pressure. So I think that's smart to start off with some supporting, get into it like a good role, good film, and then work your way up.
Yeah, just kind of know what kind of role you can play. Look, I'm not going to play Batman. I think that knowing what your forte is and going from there is what's very important. So instead of me auditioning and looking for roles where a bug is not going to be a problem, I said, I can do that, or I can just take all that time and make the script that I want and get it made. So of course there is an advantage that I'm somewhat known in music, and I can leverage that. But I found that that's the better way to go for me.
Because you're in a delicate role where you visibly are from a certain religion, but then it's like sometimes when people say like, oh, I'm going to come to you for a soundbite on something that's happening in the community, when it's like, are you comfortable saying how much do you know about it?
Well, I think religion is personal to everybody, right? There's no right way, there's no wrong way. But, a lot of people associate the bug with religion when some associate it with the culture. And just that is a big argument on so many different platforms. It's personal to me. I love the Punjabi culture. I love the pagdi. I think it's regal. I think it's unique. And, the pug itself was not, it didn't start in Sikhism, right? The pug itself it's a very old tradition. And Sikhism is not the only religion also that where you wear a pagdi. In Hinduism they wear, they'll wear it during the weddings. In Islam they wear it. So many Arab cultures wear a pug. When I go to Lahore, I freak out because I see so many. We go to Pakistan, I see so many different styles of pagdis. I take it delicately, yet not too seriously. Yeah.
So if people were to say that, for example, Waris Ahluwalia, he also, I think, isn't very religious, but because he became the first model to have a turban, he's become kind of this spokesperson.
Right.
Where
he's automatically associated.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering if that's your experience too, now that you're getting to these, because you're not just doing like Indian films, you're doing North American productions, big production companies, so you're exposed to different audiences, and I'm just wondering if you've just experienced anything where people are bringing in your faith.
They always do. I think it goes without saying, a lot of people come and a lot of people like from our Sikh community will come and say, you're ours, you're Sikh, and we're very proud of you, and that's fine. I'm totally okay with it. I don't want anybody to speak on my behalf with regards to what I believe in from religion, but I do question a lot of things, and I think that leads to other things where perhaps I'm not totally okay with blind faith. I like to question. I like to ask questions and get answers. And if I don't get those answers, I find them myself. And you can go to the Gurdwara and you can ask somebody, why do we wear a pug? You'll ask 5 people and you'll get 5 different answers. Now, none of them are right, none of them are wrong. But like I said, getting right back to it, it's personal. And I do get automatically associated with the faith, which I'm totally fine with.
But also you've become a very unique role model, because I can imagine little boys growing up now are able to turn on the TV or go to a theater and see someone just like them, right? Wearing a turban. So in a way, because I know growing up, we saw nobody. I mean, I didn't see anyone that looked like me, but I can't even imagine how much more difficult it would be for a little boy to see somebody wearing a turban or a bug and being like, hey, you're not in an Indian role, you're actually mainstream. So I think that's a really very interesting and also a lot of pressure on you to now be a role model to this new generation of little boys that are going, you know what, Rup looks like me, look at him going after his dreams, and he's able to do all these things. Like, I too can do that too and become more confident.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think I've gotten so many emails from guys who say exactly what you just said. It's so nice. It's not what I intended to do. It's happened. You know, it's a consequence of following your dream. I guess it's just one of the results that happens, and it's a blessing, to be quite honest with you. And I make it a point. We did a short film called Bonjour G that we were discussing earlier. I made it a point to do that entire thing in French, so that people can understand that we're not one-trick ponies. It's not just Punjabi, and it's not just this. We do everything like everyone else does. So why not show that?
Absolutely. Yeah. How do you deal with the instability of your career? And you've got a wife, you've got kids. Right. So you've chosen a career that most of the parents would have turned us away from, because it's not the 9 to 5. You know you're going to get your check every 2 weeks. You get your benefits.
Right. Well, you know, I've gotten used to it. And I had made it very clear at the beginning that this is what I'm going to be doing. And you sort of just get into it. It actually does become a routine. You know, they know Pops is going out for a show. I'll be gone for a week. But then when I'm home, I'm home. I don't go anywhere. I'm home. You know, so I'll make the lunches. I'll take them to school and make dinner, and I'm right there. So I think that, quite honestly, I get to see my kids more than a lot of my friends who have 9 to 5s that live in the same house. You know, you leave in the morning at 7:30 and you come home at 7:38. Kids go to bed by 8:30, right? So you don't get real quality time. I get crazy quality time with mine. And so there's good and there's bad, but I think there's a lot more good. They also get to see that their dad is doing something that he loves, and it's possible. You can do what you love and have a family, you know? Why not?
So if your daughters go to you one day and say, Dad, I want to be a singer or an actor or both.
I hope to God they do that.
Yeah? You want them to follow in your footsteps?
Oh, yeah. I am not at all strict in school. I don't care for their grades. I'm very, very unorthodox. Very, very different style of raising them. And, I like to take those risks and take chances. And they see that. You know, they come to my shows. They're backstage. I've taken them on stage, you know. So they, I would love that.
What an amazing family, because I don't know if people know that your mom is Just Core.
Yeah.
So that's why I remember I didn't associate you two until you were at, I think, was it PAMA? Yeah. And then I was like, oh, you're an art lover. And you're like, that's my mom. And I was like, what a very interesting family, very creative family.
Yeah.
So hopefully the kids get that creative bug too.
They already do. They're good, they're artists and singers, but, they have an amazing grandmom. So they get to spend Montreal summers with her, and they see her, painting, and she's just done phenomenally well. And she's like literally viral, and her art is everywhere now. And so I even draw from that,
Yeah. We have actually another behind the scenes story. I didn't actually get to see your girls when they were little, but remember one time you were filming, and I happened to be like nearby. And you needed a babysitter. Q needed a babysitter. Remember?
That's right.
And I actually ended up with Q's daughter. What's her name?
Yeah, Nara.
And she was, I think, she wasn't talking yet, or I don't think walking.
Right.
So she was made less than one. Yeah. So you guys were filming for another show, and I was just happened to be nearby, and I hear people being like, "Where's Amin?" And they're like, "Here you go, you're in babysit." And I was like, "This baby's gonna freak out. Like, are you joking?" And I remember Q just handed me, or maybe it was you, handed me your smartphone with like cartoons. Yeah, and it was like, "Don't worry, just have the cartoons." And I was like, "What if the battery dies? What if?" I was like, I did not believe, because usually kids are like, hey, I don't know you, right? Like,
she was fine though, right?
Oh, she was so fine.
Yeah,
so that's a little behind the scenes that sometimes you end up bringing the kids with you and then you just find the one female host that can babysit. And I remember sitting there so stiff. People were like walking by and they would do a double take when they would see me with a baby on my lap. And I was like, don't make any sudden movements. This baby's focused on there. But she was such a little angel. So I'm going to take credit for how she turns out.
But I'll tell you, our kids, they get to go everywhere. And so they're okay with it as well. You know,
I know they're fine being handed to weird female hosts. They've never seen her watch. And they're
not
like,
so
it's
weird,
cool.
not so weird. I think it helped that you were calm with her. You were cool with her.
Oh, I was not calm. I was sweating because I was expecting that meltdown, right? And I was like, I can't just go running to you to be like, take your child because you're in the interview. So I was like, okay, I gotta just make no sudden movements. That's my strategy. No movements.
Don't breathe.
Don't breathe too heavily that she'll notice. I was like, just focus on. Oh, actually, I remember the YouTube show we were watching ended. And she just looked at me and I was like, hit next, please be something next.
Refresh.
And then,
just watch the same thing again.
So there you go. It's very cool that it's like nice that the family comes along.
Yeah. Sometimes we have no choice. There's no babysitter.
Maybe don't hand it to the random stranger, but I mean, there's ways that you can make it work, right? I mean, maybe next time if one of you has another baby in the interview, I'm thinking, right? Have the baby on the lap.
Next time I'll just bring him.
I think you're a great example of somebody who has gone after his dreams, just keeps flourishing, and you are always finding these new challenges. And I think there's so much more we're going to see from you.
I hope so. I really hope so. I'm at this point where a lot of new stuff is going to be releasing soon.
New music, maybe?
Yeah, new music as well. Really excited about new music. We've grown as guys, as people. We've become dads, and so what we write about is very different as well. And then there's always that one side of me that just wants to keep poking at the box, you know, keep poking and breaking boundaries and sort of just saying, people, there's more than this, you know?
Yeah. We need people like you that are saying, we need more stories. We need, like, my face shouldn't be just the convenience clerk guy. Like, we should have more and more people, diversity, so that people get better roles and more options.
And these stories exist. They're phenomenal stories of people that have done amazing things that we don't know about.
Yeah.
So time to
hopefully
tell
another history piece, because I really enjoyed learning about the Maharaja in that film, because I actually afterwards Googled him.
Yeah,
I was
of
like,
course, right? Yeah,
what
you
an
go
amazing...
and you're like, what? This happened and we didn't even know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
yes, one of them is a period piece.
Okay, we're going to expect new music.
Yes.
New roles.
New music hopefully sooner, but films take a long time. From writing to producing to filming to editing and then to get a commercial release. It's crazy. But I'm hoping to do mostly SVOD, streaming video on demand films.
Yes.
Where, I don't want to go through the headache of premieres. Don't want to go through the headache of theatrical releases. I'll leave that to the big studios for now. Let's just get it. And there's so many eyeballs. Like, believe it or not, most of the comments that I get from The Black Prince came after it went online, after it went on Amazon. And my God, so many people are watching. Because you just
reach more people.
You reach 10, 20 times more people, So that's where I think I'm going to be focusing my energy on.
I think that's a good place. Yeah. So what advice would you have for other people that are looking at you, are like, I want to be like him, that are, working their 9 to 5 and they're dreaming about something bigger? What's your advice for them? How do they go after it?
I think that the one major thing that I've always done and I continue to do is to never look for the end result. Just understand that doing what you love to do, irrespective of what happens, you win. You've already won. When you just do it, and you're sustaining yourself by doing it every day, that passion, that dream, the results are, they're not important, they're not necessary, because they'll always continue to change. And your expectations, I wanted to release an album, I wanted to sell 2 million albums, that happened. We wanted music videos and we wanted acting, but it was never like, I want to be a movie star. Never like that. It's not, I just want to do this because it's fun and I love it. And when you do that, you are basically, you're succeeding right there. So don't look for, that major end goal. It'll always change. Just look today, enjoy what you do, love it, have a wonderful day, and you're already on your journey. It is basically it's the goal.
Perfect. That's really good advice. I like that. Thanks so much for stopping
Thank
by.
you so much for having me.
And I really hope you come by again.
Yes.
And maybe I will work on my French and we can do a little bilingual chat.
Not bad.
Other than the Je m'appelle Amin Dhillon.
Next time, let's do that.
Je vais aller aux toilettes. Is that something? I don't know what that is. I'm going to the bathroom or I'm looking for the bathroom.
I need to go to the bathroom. That's what
They
you just
literally taught me the most essentials for me.
Who
if
is
they taught
teaching
me.
you this? Is what I
My
wanna
French
know.
teacher. I learned more. I'm just really rusty now, but
Okay.
that's the only lines I've remembered. And I think it's
Fine.
literally if I were to land in, well, Montreal does speak some English, but if
Yeah.
I go to France, I will be okay because I can say my name, ask you how you're doing,
Bathroom.
and go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you're fine. But next time, en français. Let's do this en français next time. You just watched me on In Conversation. Now please go and subscribe for more videos like this.